In eastern Ukraine, tensions are on a knife edge after a weekend that's seen several reported deaths, masked gunmen seizing government buildings, and accusations at the highest level that Russia is planning to invade. For its part, Moscow says leaders in Kiev are waging war against their own people. At an emergency meeting of the UN Security Council overnight, Western diplomats have claimed that Russia has amassed a force of up to 40,000 just on its side of the border. There's been talk of a Russian military build-up around the Ukrainian border for weeks now, while Ukraine has been moving to reinforce its defences. But just what is happening on the ground? Our correspondents Galeva Krag and Ksenia Bolchakova have been to take the pulse on both sides of the Russia-Ukraine border in the areas south and east of Donetsk.
Until recently, these tetrapods were decorations in a park in the city of Mariupol. They're now being used as defences on the road from that city to the Russian border.
The date on these constructions is the date of this Mariupol's liberation from the German fascist occupiers. They've been placed here to block the passage of unauthorized vehicles across the national border.
Russia now says Ukraine is overrun by fascists again, something Kiev denies and denounces as a pretext for a potential invasion. At the border itself, the Ukrainians have dug a trench. They've also stepped up controls.
The aim of this operation is to prevent the entry of provocateurs or people who might take part in destabilizing activities on Ukrainian territory. So at passport control, all Russian citizens entering Ukraine are now subjected to an interview.
Last week, a large proportion of Russian men of military age trying to cross the border were refused entry to Ukraine, as were a number of journalists working for pro-Kremlin media. But local families say for them nothing's changed.
My mother lives on the Russian side, so we cross back and forth often. Everything's fine for now, and we hope it stays that way. Why should we fight each other? Those pseudo-heroes in Maidan can fight if they want, but Ukraine should stay united.
Meanwhile, on the Russian side, France 24's reporters travel towards the border from Rostov-on-Don. They're looking for the Russian troops NATO says have deployed in the region. But the military, if it's there, is well hidden. The border area, though, is clearly well patrolled. After just a few minutes, this white car appears out of nowhere. Filming is forbidden here, the man says.
А вы не представились, можно у вас спросить?
Я представился, почему?
А мне просто представились.
Федеральная служба безопасности.
А как вас зовут?
Меня зовут Иван. А во-вторых, это режимный объект.
Ivan calls for reinforcements. Border guards in military uniform swiftly arrive.
А мы у вас здесь первые?
Пачками вас в последнее время вывозим.
The France 24 team and two other journalists are duly loaded into this van and taken to the post, where the agents subject everyone to in-depth political questioning. 4 hours later, our reporters are released in the village of Matveyev-Kurgan, around 30 kilometers from the border. Residents say they haven't seen any troops, but the fear of war is certainly there.
What worries me most is those American mercenaries who have arrived in Ukraine. Why have they brought them? They're arming themselves up.
I was born in 1940, you know, and I was hit by a shell in the war. I can still smell the gunpowder. It was terrible. So for me, what's happening is unbearable. Fascism is just terrible.
These people fear an attack from the Ukrainian side. The village's one Ukrainian inhabitant, meanwhile, wishes the two peoples could just be brothers again.
I would like us to live in friendship and understanding again, with a common goal, for everything to be like before. The factories, the farms, everything would start up working again, and we could stop begging the West for food. We should be ashamed.
Mariupol, Ukraine. This industrial port city on the Azov Sea, 50 kilometers from the border, is also deeply nostalgic for the Soviet Union. On Thursday, the Ukrainian flag was still flying over administrative buildings here, But in the park in front of the town hall, a pro-Russian protest camp was established weeks ago.
You can't blame them for idealizing the past. It was their youth, their best memories. They don't understand that the USSR isn't coming back, and that even if Ukraine joins Russia tomorrow, they'll never be 20 again.
Mariupol's few pro-Maidan activists are keeping a low profile these days. Not all the pro-Russians are innocent nostalgics.
Our leaders told us, guys, better not hold any demonstrations at the moment. We don't want to risk provocations. It's just not worth it. Many of these groups are backed by criminals. There are weapons here, even in those tents that you can see behind us. Yes, I'm serious. They have weapons and plenty of them.
On Sunday, the protesters occupied Mariupol's town hall, bringing the unrest to this city too. But most people here would prefer to stay away from any conflict.
Before, no one tried to split Ukrainians from other nationalities, and now they are. Guys, I've got to go. All the best.
Not so long ago, people here did not even feel as though they were living in a border zone. Suddenly, they seem to be at the front line of an international conflict.
OK, well, let's move on now and get a check on the latest sports headlines.